After the revolution comes the tweak. Last season was a new beginning. The almost total reconstruction of the Formula One racing car. Now it comes nothing more sweeping than a little cosmetic readjustment. A nose job. It's not so much about the body parts as the cast list. There are child stars, a pair of them at Toro Rosso. Max Verstappen is 17 years old.
Yeah, it was a big crash, but I think at the end of the day, for me, it gave me more confidence.
There is movement among the established stars. Sebastian Vettel to Ferrari.
Last year I just didn't have a good season, sort of doubting myself.
Fernando Alonso off to, of all places, McLaren. Honda are back as engine suppliers. New power after the revolution.
For big problems, you need big solutions.
Red Bull squabbling with Renault about engines.
Which stage did you realise things really weren't good with the engine?
2013.
No change at Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg in the all-conquering beast.
You had to be tough.
It was one step too far.
He complains about a lot of things.
Mercedes led the revolution, are still the car, the team, the drivers to beat. This is Formula One 2015.
So last year we saw the emergence of the great powerhouse that is Mercedes and that intriguing partnership between Lewis and Nico, with Lewis winning out. So come 2015, we're all excited about that, and of course the return of the partnership of McLaren Honda with that great history.
We didn't really do much in Jerez, so it's difficult to have a first impression, really.
The reliability was the biggest issue. We did 7 laps one day, 5 laps the next day, so we understood that we have a long way to go.
I think it took us about 8 races to do the same mileage as what Mercedes did in winter testing.
If you can't put laps in the car, you don't fix your issues, you don't develop the car, and you're always on the back foot.
You talk about reliability. Can you be any more specific, just to tell the people at home which particular aspect?
Any kind. I can't be more specific than this. We had so many different reliability issues.
I remember the car felt good, felt grippy, easy to drive, but felt not much power.
This, to me, is a classic case of miscommunication. I have to believe that Honda at no point communicated to McLaren just how poor their hybrid engine was performing on the dyno. McLaren must have presumed, because of this great history that they had in the past, that they would take care of the engine, we'll take care of the car, the two will meet, and we will, show everyone just how good we are again. And it was the biggest shocker that we've seen.
But we also had that extraordinary story with that weird crash from Fernando Alonso. He ended up in hospital, had concussion.
Yeah, it was a strange accident. I hit the wall, not too fast, but enough to, I don't know, with the angle or whatever, to be an unfortunate situation. The head is always one important part, and regarding the level of competitiveness that we had at that point, going to Australia and risk 0.1% was not worth doing it.
The disappointing thing, of course, is that we've got Jenson Button, a great driver, one of the fans' favourites, but Kevin Magnussen stepping in to replace Fernando Alonso, who was taking time out for this recovery from the concussion. Was this real? We couldn't believe how poor the performance was.
Can Button get himself into the top 15? No, he can't. It's only 17th. Both McLarens are out in Q1. The revived relationship between McLaren and Honda has not started well at all. We're not going to be seeing Kevin Magnussen make the start. His car expired on the reconnaissance lap to the grid.
Jenson's the slowest car out on that racetrack.
So you go to Melbourne, you're 3.5 seconds off the pace, but
5.5.
but Jensen gets to the end of the race.
We don't know why, and we are maybe lucky to go to the end of the race. So no real emotions, except that understanding the amount of work we're gonna have to go through as a McLaren Honda.
And Lewis Hamilton wins round one, the Australian Grand Prix. It's 1-2 for Mercedes.
It was an amazing experience, an amazing feeling to get back in and still have the strength and the power that we had from the year before.
I wouldn't say it was relief, but it was good to see that what we've seen over the winter, the progress we've made on the chassis and on the engine, became reality.
I'll be back. All right, give him a big hand, ladies and gentlemen.
It was the perfect start for Mercedes.
They carried the momentum from 2014. The benefit of being a World Championship team is, and you know you've got it in the bag, you start your development earlier for the next season. So it becomes even more difficult for teams to catch you. Ferrari were showing signs that they were upping the ante when it came to the hybrid power unit, but all the odds were pointing towards Mercedes.
Last year I just didn't have a good season. You know, I have no problem to stand up and say Daniel was quicker.
Does Ricciardo try around the outside? He cuts back to the inside. Sebastian Vettel can do nothing.
I was sort of doubting myself as well.
Vettel once again shaded.
If things are not going well, or in general, I try to look at myself before I point fingers at others. And of course, if it, like last year, it doesn't work, I'm always looking at myself, what I could have done better. So overall, it was a tough year, no doubt.
Obviously, sports people operate on supreme confidence, absolute belief and in their commitment, the decisions they make. But he was actually made to look like a number two in comparison to Daniel Ricciardo. So you can understand why, no matter what your past performance was, he wasn't delivering in the new hybrid formula.
Michael Schumacher wins!
It became sort of clear that I want to do something new. And obviously now I'm in a different chair, or different car. It has always been a dream since I was a child, really. A couple of times I met Michael, he was dressed in red and he was, you know, my hero. So to put on the same dress as him, maybe that's, you know, a dream that I had for many, many years.
Last season, Ferrari had their worst year in 21. 2 podiums, and I can't even believe that I'm saying that now. It was terrible.
The team has been through a difficult phase, and I think really starting this year, everybody felt that, okay, this is a new start and forget what happened in the past.
Lights out, away we go. Hamilton gets off the line well. Vettel an average start, I would say. He's going to try and cut across in front of Rosberg, but a good outbraking manoeuvre from Vettel, trying to get himself into second place. He's done it. Oh, Ericsson, well, that's a criminal mistake. Safety car has been deployed. Hamilton is pitting.
Double stop. You've got Nico behind.
Vettel has stayed out there, which puts the Ferrari into the lead. Here we go, we're going back to racing, and Sebastian Vettel already opening up a gap.
We already knew that they were not leaping away from us. We already knew that the car was competitive, and we already had a fair idea that they were going to 3-stop, and we knew we weren't.
Sebastian Vettel pits. That puts Lewis Hamilton back into the lead of the Malaysian Grand Prix. Vettel down the inside of Rosberg, and he's done it, and he's taken second position away from Nico Rosberg.
Good boy, good boy. Hamilton 7 seconds in front.
Really dropping off, just sliding around out here. Vettel coming down the inside to take the lead, getting past Lewis Hamilton. Right, Hamilton's bailed out. He's got to get another set of tyres on.
No one in the outside world expected us to win.
Sebastian Vettel is heading to astonish the world of Formula One.
We hardly dared believe that we could.
Sebastian Vettel wins the Grand Prix of Malaysia.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes! Sì, ragazzi! Oh, mi senti? Grazie mille, ragazzi. Grazie, dai, forza Ferrari!
When I was up there and I heard the German anthem and then the Italian anthem and dressed in red, and I don't know, I connect so many things from my childhood and with Michael, and that's why it was great to hear the guys singing then, and you know, I know it was me, but to realize it was me up there.
I've worked with two guys who really, really, really understand the value of being in a team. And one was Michael and the other one is Sebastian. And that's not to denigrate the others, but it's a particular strength in Sebastian, and it was a particular strength in Michael as well.
I think Vettel needed it because having won 4 World Championships with Red Bull, we all thought it was the Adrian Newey, the Red Bull, that little domination, that group of people. And I, for one, needed to be totally convinced. Malaysia, for me, did that. Bravo.
Malaysia definitely stunned us big time. We didn't expect that. And then we didn't really know what was going to happen after that. You know, is Ferrari really better than us now all of a sudden? But we fought back even stronger.
Hamilton leads, Rosberg is in second, Vettel third.
Lewis is driving very slowly to get him to speed up.
Rosberg is getting upset. Vettel starting to fill his mirrors full of red.
You came on the radio and you were accusing Lewis of backing you into Vettel.
I think accusing is not the right word. I was mentioning it.
If I go closer, I destroy my tires.
And I wasn't even mentioning backing me into anybody. I was just mentioning he should go a little bit faster.
Okay, Lewis, we maybe like to pick the pace up a little bit.
And Lewis Hamilton wins the Chinese Grand Prix, and he beats his teammate home in another 1-2 finish.
It compromised my race massively at the time. I'm not really quite sure what his problem is. The best possible race for Lewis was to back me off into Vettel.
I wasn't, honestly. When I'm driving, I'm not really focusing when you're in the lead, particularly, you're not really focusing so much on the guy behind. You're focusing on what you've got to do. You know, we have this fuel saving that we need to be doing, the tyre saving, and it's the other guys. It's their job to either get around you if they feel that you're going slow or you're too slow.
Interestingly, he said he was just thinking about himself, you know, and that sort of says it all.
Was Lewis trying to do that?
We will never know. It is clear that when you fight against your teammate in the quickest car for the World Championship, and your teammate is a good one, you need to just pull out all the tricks. Did he do that in China? We don't know, but I think it's something which is to be expected.
The thing is that we had discussed something pre-race because of the threat from Ferrari, just to make sure that we do keep an eye on our team result as well, you know, on our team effort, and make sure that Ferrari doesn't beat either of us unnecessarily. And that was sort of the fine line, you know, where I felt that it was, you know, it was compromising me.
Last year, there were many flashpoints throughout the season. We've not really had that this year. I imagine that's a huge relief to you.
Maybe we were able to contain the discussions in the meeting rooms and behind closed doors. Nico and Lewis realized that it was detrimental to the team and not positive for the spirits within the team, that if these discussions, the controversy, which needs to happen, of course, is being held in the public space.
That uncomfortable relationship between Nico and Lewis, we already seen it the year before in Spa when it burst out, when the contact was made there. So it was never really fixed. Teammates do not like each other. They are not friends. Forget it. They never will be.
This is it. Can Hamilton take pole position in Bahrain? Across the line he goes. He's done it.
Beautiful work there, Lewis.
It's 4 for number 44.
We get to Bahrain, Lewis gets his 4th straight pole.
Yeah, what was really interesting to me is you saw all of the confidence that Nico had through the previous season. He was going out and just banging the pole positions, and it was Lewis who was a bit scrappy. You know, final run in qualifying, he would lock up or something would go wrong. Come into this year, and Lewis is just supreme confidence, bang, 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 and it's Nico who's looking a little bit like a boxer on the ropes.
I don't think it's something I consciously worked on. Of course, I ended last season and I was thinking, okay, qualifying is an area which made this year harder for me. But generally it was just getting more comfortable with the car.
And Lewis Hamilton wins the Bahrain Grand Prix to take his 3rd victory of 2015.
He was very dominant, up to a point that we were surprised.
I had to fight back because Lewis had, you know, gotten a bit of an advantage on the points. In the battle between Lewis and I, it's so important, every detail, you know, and then the qualifying position is massively important as well. And he beat me in qualifying the first 4 races, I think. And then finally in Spain, I got that pole.
And Lewis Hamilton has been stopped in his sequence of getting pole positions because Nico Rosberg has set the pace here. Now we have a battle on our hands.
And then if you go into the first corner in front, there's a big chance that you'll win the race.
Lights out, away we go, and it's a good start from pole man Nico Rosberg. for the first time in 2015, he wins! Yes, go on!
Of course, there was a lot of scepticism. Is it too early? Is it dangerous even? But I think he's demonstrated he's a very special talent.
Let's talk about Max Verstappen. 17 years old, he comes into Formula One, the youngest ever driver. He was karting 2 years ago.
It was a shocker for Formula One. You know, how can someone with so little experience come and deliver the sort of passes we saw? You know, China for me was already the sign that this guy had supreme control and instinctive ability to find gaps. You know, it's one thing being fast, but to race like that, to me, shows a real star quality.
I always enjoy driving a street circuit. You're really on the edge of the car. It's not downforce related. It's more like just moving around with the car, try to feel the grip between the walls, what is also quite entertaining.
Here comes Verstappen.
Down the inside into Zandvoort, Verstappen on Maldonado side by side. Oh, that's fantastic. You don't see overtaking like that often here in Monaco.
Well, I held my breath.
He found opportunities to overtake, instinctive ability to follow. I think it was Seb when he passed Bottas. You know, he was being lapped and he just snuck through as well, just caught Bottas by surprise.
Oh, he's going to do it.
It does indeed.
Verstappen goes past as well. The next one they want to try and pass is Grosjean. Oh, no! Verstappen's hit it! He's in the barrier!
You okay, Max? I'm okay.
Yeah, it was a big crash, but I think at the end of the day, then you really understand how strong and F1 car is, and I think it even improved myself, because for me it gave me more confidence, because you're always a bit scared to crash or touch a wall or whatever, but now I had a big crash and then it just all gets a bit more relaxed, I think.
He actually took a positive out of that. This is a guy that's just building blocks of experience in his mind.
If he continues to go on like this, he will be soon in the position to join people like Senna and Schumacher as absolute greats, because he's that good. He has impressed me, I cannot tell you. I have not seen somebody emerge at such a young age in the Formula One as powerful as him.
Everything looking good for Hamilton to take his second Monaco victory.
Monaco is just such a special race. You look at all the greats, you look at Ayrton, you look at Michael, they've won that race so many times. I've only won it once in the 9 years, and 3 years of being in this team, the car's been the best, particularly for that race. And I've lost all 3. And then this year, finally, I'm on pole. I'm leading by 20-something seconds. I'm living the life up front.
Big impact down there at Zandvoort. Safety car, precautionary tyre change for Lewis Hamilton.
Rosberg going through now.
Yeah, well, that actually does put Rosberg in front.
I knew it when I came out the pit lane.
He's come out in third, so that's very strange.
For me, it wasn't an option to pit, because you had to stay out. And then all of a sudden, I don't see anybody in front, and I see, you know, the safety car, which was already strange. And then I see Lewis popping out of the pits in my window in a big, big battle right behind me. You know, I thought they were going to crash into my gearbox.
I've lost this race, haven't I?
So why has that happened?
In that particular moment, Lewis came on the radio, seeing somebody pitting on the big screen, saying, "My tires are dead, they will not recover, consider pitting." And our screens froze, so we didn't have the exact gaps anymore. And then we lacked the overview of what was going on in the race, with all our data, with the scientific approach, with looking into our screens, monitoring every single sensor on that car. We didn't look out of the window.
Nico Rosberg wins the 2015 Monaco Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel finishes in second place. Lewis Hamilton is robbed, but why? Why did Mercedes do what they did?
I'm really sorry about that, Lewis, mate. Please stop talking to me, please.
Lewis Hamilton looks like he wants to park up.
That was just a point of I was like a kettle boiled to the top. You know, I take it personally. It's as racing has been my life since I was 8 years old. So you put everything into it, and remember, that's 1 year gone. Fortunately, I hope we have more years to go, but you never know when it will be the last time you have a car like that.
Lewis Hamilton comes through to take victory in Canada. Another win to add to his tally, his 4th win of 2015.
Canada. Let's talk about Red Bull, because it was there last year that Daniel Ricciardo got his first incredible victory. This season, he's 13th.
Red Bull and Renault not having a happy time this weekend.
I got lapped by Williams. It was definitely our most strange and our worst weekend of the year. I'm laughing because I don't want to cry.
Red Bull struggling for straight line speed.
We've been missing something from power unit consistently this year. We probably didn't get enough of a step forward in between the season, which was a bit disappointing to start with. But yeah, in the future we expect a lot more from that part of our car.
What is going on with Red Bull?
The first few races, power was one thing, but drivability, like I was just getting a headache from my head sort of getting whiplash, you know. It was really, there was a lot of splutters and whatnot going on when I'd get on the power. That made it, nearly impossible to win this year.
It's not just about engine power. There are so many other elements that's not working there.
On top of the drivability, there's then reliability issues as well. So it's difficult because we're in a competition, we're pushing hard, promises are made, and expectations are therefore set. And when that doesn't happen, then inevitably frustration, boils over.
We need to work with the guys at Renault and try to understand it and support them. But there's what we've seen this weekend isn't acceptable.
The relationship with Renault had broken down some time before, but that's the first signs really that they were prepared to be so vocal about it. And Eddie knows the importance about keeping your engine partner on side, but Renault had stopped developing the product, Red Bull stopped trusting in them, and they were looking for a divorce, and it started to get a bit messy.
Remember, Renault are a car manufacturer, and there are so many people who are looking for the marketing and the promotion exercises that's involved in Formula One. Why ridicule your own partner? There's no logic to it.
Hamilton's got through then onto his final flying lap.
We're on the knife edge with these cars, and if something's not perfect, you downshift too early or you downshift from the bump, you pay the price.
Oh, one spin, Hamilton spun it. Rosberg on a good lap.
He is indeed. He's quicker than his best in the first sector.
I knew that I had to take risks to get pole, went for it and just got it completely wrong.
Oh, Nico Rosberg, when he looked to be up on Lewis Hamilton, he has gone off at the very last corner.
Sorry about that, guys. What position is that? So it's confirmed P2, Nico.
Braked later, and it definitely didn't work out at all.
After all that, Lewis Hamilton has taken pole position. As expected, the Mercedes are up at the front despite those offs in qualifying. Lights out, away we go. It's a good start from Rosberg. An excellent getaway, but Hamilton's going to try and shut the door. Rosberg's won the start into turn 1.
It was a great start, really worked out well. Great battle for turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3, where we were side by side into all 3 of them.
They're charging up towards the second turn. Hamilton will go to the outside. Rosberg holds the inside line.
Well, this is great stuff. We knew that Rosberg had to go for it.
That was the crucial thing for the win. And then had really good pace also in the race, which I was happy about.
Nico Rosberg takes the checkered flag. He's beaten Hamilton once again in Europe this season.
Silverstone it's everything, I suppose. It's such an emotive Grand Prix for us. We won our first race there in '79.
Lee Rigatoni goes across the line and he has won the British Grand Prix.
We've had the glory days there with Nigel.
Nigel is not going to be allowed to get back to his pit. Amazing.
So, going to Silverstone is just always wonderful. The British crowds, everything.
There's a festival feeling here, anticipation ahead of this Grand Prix.
Key to this race today could be the start.
It was a good start from both of us.
They didn't have a very good start as well, which helps us. But it was amazing.
Lights out, away we go. It's a good start from the second row. Williams are getting both cars past both Mercedes. Massa leads Bottas trying to get second from Hamilton.
Just describe the first 20 seconds of that race from your point of view.
It was hideous.
Great stuff from Lewis Hamilton. He wouldn't give up that position to Bottas.
I was sat there just thinking to myself, oh my God, is this what it's going to feel like when we start winning again? Because I'm not sure I can cope with this.
Look at Hamilton, be careful.
Hamilton goes off in his attempts to try and wrest the lead, and that might give an opportunity here for Valtteri Bottas. Bottas goes into second place.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was like is a joke, you know, our two cars going and taking the Mercedes.
Instruction, no racing in your team. No racing for now. We'll keep you advised.
I really felt I had much more pace than my teammate. I was behind him and I wasn't allowed to overtake, so that was pretty tough to accept.
For me, it's clear Williams should allow him to go.
Can I overtake? I can do it in the back straight. Tell me.
Yes, you can.
That was too late.
Hamilton, purple in the first and second sector. He's got the bit between his teeth.
In comes Lewis Hamilton from third position.
Sometimes you do a lap and you feel I could have braked later there or carried more speed into that apex, but that lap was on the limit without damaging the tyres, and yeah, came out ahead.
So that means he's actually back out in fourth place, so that's how crucial that move was. In comes Felipe Massa and Nico Rosberg, so that puts Bottas into the lead of this Grand Prix.
When my teammate went into the pits, I improved nearly 1 second in my next lap. Could have been a possibility for my first win, I could see it.
Rosberg, has he got it? They'll battle it down to the end of the pit lane.
Who's going to get the edge? Massa just, that's hugely helped Hamilton.
Had you let Valtteri pass Massa, do you think the result would have been different?
Who knows? I don't personally believe so. I think we still would have been trumped by the Mercedes.
Bottas comes in from the race lead. Hamilton's already along the start-finish straight. He's alongside.
He's through.
Hamilton retakes the lead. And where does Bottas come back out? He comes back out behind his teammate Felipe Massa.
Expecting rain in the next minute or so.
Definitely rain falling now. The battle for third place, and Nico Rosberg goes side by side with the Williams, and he's through at last. In the damp conditions, he took advantage.
I had a great feeling in the car. You know, I found some grip that the others somehow didn't have, so I was pushing on.
Rosberg goes up into second place. Look at Rosberg, he's catching Hamilton here.
And then just in the lap where I was coming to get Lewis, it started to rain more, and he made the right call to come in.
Hamilton comes in from the lead of the Grand Prix. Is he going for Inters?
Let's start doing a rain dance if you want to see a British winner this afternoon.
The strategist and the driver just got it spot on, coming into the pits at the right time, and this is what made the race.
Rain intensity is increasing.
As it has turned out, that was the perfect lap to put the intermediate tyres on.
By the time I got to the last corner before the pit entry, it was flooded. So in that last corner, I lost 4 seconds or 5 seconds.
He had to fight for it, but Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix.
Great job, guys. I'm so happy with that. Thank you to all the fans that come in. That one was for you. Thank you.
Great call on the pit stop for Lewis. That was exactly the right time.
I can't really express how proud a moment it is for a British driver to be in front of a home crowd and lead into the victory. But afterwards, as I come onto the pit lane wall and seeing the whole sea of people and to see all those British flags, it's a feeling that will live on in me for the rest of my life.
After Silverstone, we heard the desperately sad news that Jules Bianchi had died after that terrible accident in Japan. It really rocked the paddock, didn't it?
I knew already straight away in Japan. When I went to the hospital, I knew 100% that it was impossible to survive. I think maybe I need a few weeks to be a little bit better, you know, because it was so hard.
We had a lot of good moments in F3, I remember, when we were teammates. Some of the after parties, example, yeah, we did some funny things at that time, you know. We were young still. Really talented racer. I think it was only a matter of time that he could have been a better car, and everyone would have seen how quick he really is. So.
Jules was literally one of my first friends I made in Europe, you know, so we were 17 and we were both on that same journey, and yeah, it was emotional for sure.
He was one of us. He was a very close friend. He lost life in a Formula One car, and the only way to show him respect was to fight hard again on a Formula One car.
Vettel's trying to come down the outside of Lewis Hamilton. Oh, what a brilliant start by Sebastian Vettel. And Kimi Raikkonen is past Hamilton, and Ferrari are running 1-2. This
fundamentally changes the way this race.
Hamilton's right.
He's in the gravel.
But Hamilton losing a handful of places as he gets back on. My goodness, we've got a race on our hands here now. Hulkenberg's going off. He's going to be in the barrier. Oh, it's a big hit.
And he's okay.
Safety cars coming out. Now, this does change things.
We are racing for the win, mate.
Yeah, I think Lewis Hamilton knows that. Get ready for the restart. And Rosberg down the inside of Raikkonen as Ricciardo tries to go around the outside of Hamilton. They touch and Ricciardo
Damage to Hamilton's wing.
Hamilton's been given a drive-through. I can't really see him scoring points here today.
I'm so sorry, guys. Don't stress about it, Lewis. 20 seconds away from some points, so let's go get them.
Nico Rosberg looking to take the lead in the World Championship here today. If he finishes in second place, and if Hamilton fails to score, of course, that will put him 1 point ahead.
I'm losing power. There's nothing that I can do. Understood, Kimi. I'm sorry.
Hamilton goes down the inside, and it's an easy pass on Nasser.
So he is getting a point. That now puts him equal with Rosberg.
Here comes Hamilton, and that puts him into 8th position. Oh, and here comes Ricciardo. Didn't look up, surely he's in too deep.
Obviously with Nico, you know, I put myself in that position by going for the move, but, you know, still on the exit, he came across.
In my eyes, it was my road to use entirely because he came in completely overcooked it.
He goes wide. Oh, and he loses front wing now.
Oh, he's going to puncture Rosberg.
Puncture.
Suddenly, Rosberg's chance of taking the lead of the championship might be gone.
Nico was adamant that that was his bit of track.
Yeah, definitely not. Let's call it a racing incident, but it wasn't my fault.
He just clipped his front wing on my tyre and that was it then, so lost out a massive amount of points there.
Lewis Hamilton, as he looks to protect his championship lead, and in fact not just protect it, to extend his championship lead. Who would have thought that? Sebastian Vettel has been wheel perfect. After all these years of trying so hard here in Hungary with Red Bull, he hasn't won up till now, but today he has.
Grazie ragazzi, grazie. Vi sentite? Vi sentite? Et merci Jules, cette victoire est pour toi. You will always be in our hearts. We know that sooner or later Jules would have been a part of this team. Grazie guys.
Hungary was a strange race. It was quite scrappy, which is something we don't really see from you very often.
This is how the Sunday went. It was a really cool Sunday actually until the race started. The night before, I was invited by Ridley Scott. He says, you know, come by the shoot in the morning. I'm like, yes, because he was filming with Matt Damon the last scene of The Martian. So I went to bed, you know, tossing and turning, didn't sleep till like maybe 1 o'clock, and I woke up at 4 a.m. Time came at 8 o'clock or whatever it was to leave the hotel. Went to meet Ridley, and at the time, they were set up for this last scene, and he said, you know, Matt hasn't come on yet. Why don't you sit where he is and act out his role? So, you know, I'm getting nervous because this is Ridley Scott asking me to sit and act. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. And then finally Matt came. I'm sat with Ridley and he's saying, no, action. And I just, honestly, I couldn't believe it. So I left there, went to the track, and I'm on this high for a minute, and then start doing engineering, and I start hitting a wall. And I wasn't able to take a nap either, so got in the car. Those first couple of laps to the grid felt terrible. I was like, this is not good. And I knew it. I've now told you a story which I should have put in my book one day. But anyways.
You know, at this point of the season, we're starting to feel that Lewis is gathering momentum and really getting Nico under control. But then it seemed like the season, come August, we're starting to catch up with him.
What you mean, because of his lifestyle, or?
Well, potentially, I guess. You know, he's been back and forward to the States. You know, he's much more active in chasing the social side of his life than Nico, whose wife was pregnant and go back to Monaco and living a quieter life. And, you know, I think some people were starting to question, was it just becoming too much, burning the candle at both ends?
No one expected Lotus to actually be on the grid in Spa. The bailiffs were there, you know, people were talking about wages not being paid, engine bills not having been paid, gearbox bills, the tyres, everything seemed to be just crunching down on Lotus.
Pretty early in the year, we knew we had to do with what we had. We were supposed to have a new nose for the race 1, which was delayed, to race 2, then race 5, and then race 10. And from then onwards, we knew that nothing would come until the end of the year.
Grosjean going around the outside. That's the second time he's made a good move up there.
It was, you know, one of those races where everything goes well.
And Grosjean's going to complete another move. He's into third place. Lewis Hamilton takes victory in Belgium. Romain Grosjean is going to finish in third place. What a superb achievement for a team that has been struggling, fighting for survival.
Winning Grand Prix or something like that with no podium, it was the season we had. Yeah, it was hard to drive. I had tears in my eyes, really struggled to find the lines.
That was incredible, one of the best races of your career, mate. So proud.
So I was crying in the car because it was not only for me, it was for the guys and for everything they represented to me for 10 years, and that was the best I could offer them.
Romain Grosjean takes a podium finish. What a superb performance for him.
I don't think there are many teams that have celebrated a podium with bailiffs. That's quite an experience.
Romain Grosjean, the big smile is back. Isn't it lovely to see him on the podium at Spa?
Romain Grosjean emerged as such a great team leader. He did an amazing job. He's been with Enstone for all of those years. And for him to bring that car and the drama and the trauma that team had endured for that weekend to get it onto the podium, for me, was one of the highlights of the year.
It was important to launch an attack and close the gap down now because Lewis was sort of getting away. The new engine that I just put in got a problem, so I had to go back to the old engine, and that had less power and then broke down in the race as well.
It's all over at Monza for Nico Rosberg. What a blow this is in his World Championship hopes.
Okay, Lewis, we need to pull a gap. Don't ask questions, just execute.
In Italy, we had these new rules kicking in about minimum tire pressures. And we were informed during the race that an investigation was being started about these pressures. The consequence of a penalty would have probably been 30 seconds.
So there's no need to take any risk, just keep doing what you're doing. When I'm picking up the pace to where I was, here's taking risks.
When they ask you just 30 seconds, I'm like, are you crazy? That's a lot of time.
It wasn't needed at the end. We were right. There wasn't any mistake.
Hamilton takes victory at Monza.
Those last few laps were not cool, man.
My goodness, Lewis Hamilton is down in 5th place in Singapore.
Super weird. I don't really feel that I can explain it.
Now, what about Nico Rosberg? He's down in 6th place.
In qualifying, we were 1.5 seconds slower all of a sudden. You know, we were so shocked. We had no clue what's going on.
Sebastian Vettel has taken the first non-Mercedes powered pole position of the hybrid era.
Mercedes have dominated the season, but that seems to be on the cusp of coming to an end.
And then the race also just not quick enough, you know, and then Lewis had the bad luck, which I had in Monza.
Hamilton's in trouble. He's passed by his teammate.
Lost power, guys, lost power. Okay, Lewis, box.
But I wasn't able to make the most of it because it just wasn't quick enough and finished 4th.
Sebastian Vettel wins in Singapore.
Yes, you did it! You did it!
Woohoo! Grazie ragazzi, grazie. Vi sentite? Forza Ferrari!
The season we've had was a big surprise, I think, for us as well. Positive surprise. We had a strong platform to start with, and the people, in all honesty, did a great job making progress, especially on the engine side, but also with the car. So all in all, it was a great year.
It is a podium without a Mercedes driver anywhere to be seen.
Do you have any answers as to what happened that weekend?
Yes, by now we have the answers. What happened to us this weekend was lack of understanding what was actually needed to perform well in Singapore. It was covered up by a 2014 car that was so dominant that we won the race in Singapore, although we could see that we had a little bit of a dip in form there.
Whilst there were all these engineers coming up with all these theories of why it could happen, I honestly, in my heart, don't believe they also really fully know why that it was.
After struggling so much like we did in Singapore, there is this rest of a feeling in you saying, let's see how it goes in Japan.
After Singapore, they made some changes and the car wasn't as nice to drive after that.
Hamilton comes across the line. It's not enough to beat his teammate. Rosberg has the upper hand.
It was clear at that time that with the drivers so near to each other in terms of their competitiveness, that lap 1, turn 1 was decisive.
Lights out It's a good start. He's going to challenge as they head down towards the first corner.
You've got to be fierce, you've got to be strong, you've got to be hard to as much of the limit you can be.
Rosberg on the outside here. Hamilton's down the inside, side by side through turn one.
You could ask every world champion, if you're on the outside, you've got to back off.
Dropping back, Rosberg has lost second. He's lost third. Rosberg down to fourth place. And Hamilton has the advantage.
It's a shitty feeling when my teammate or Lewis, runs me out wide into the grass, and then I lose all those positions. That really is not a good feeling. So that was tough.
You have to be tough. You can't be nice out there. You can't be, hey, here's some space. It's, hey, I'm taking it. I'm here. I'm in business. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to finish the race and say, hey, that was a lovely race, chap. You were so friendly with me and, you let me win. No.
Hamilton wins in Japan to take back-to-back victories at Suzuka.
Was Lewis unfair?
We all just go with what the FIA says, and the FIA judged it to be a racing incident in Suzuka. So we'll go with that.
I think both of this race like a GP2. This is embarrassing, very embarrassing.
Japan. Let's talk about McLaren Honda, because Alonso's on team radio. He knows what he's doing.
GP2 engine. GP2. Ah!
In Japan, when they broadcast that, probably I knew that they could do that. But I think, the actions that we need to take for next year to be competitive, they need to be quite extreme. For big problems, you need big solutions. And I think maybe that helped for the big solutions.
He's not sending very polite messages or thinly veiled at all, is he? It's a very, very much public slap in the face to Honda.
If you're going to say something to get out there in the public and you want to make the people and the management of Honda take full knowledge of what you're about to say, then that's where you do it. And he's very clever. Alonso was as smart as could be. Remember in Canada where he said we are acting like a bunch of amateurs. So it's not the first time. So it's calculated.
We must save fuel, we must target zero.
I don't want. Already I have big problems now. Driving with defense, looking like amateurs.
I'm a huge fan of McLaren, always was. I'm concerned about the great team. Where are they now? One off last place, all their sponsors gone, more or less. Rudderless, absolutely no idea what's going on. Honda, together with McLaren, with 2 world champions in the car, for me, was the biggest disgrace of the season.
Rosberg desperately needs to beat Hamilton here today. Lights out, away we go. And the 2 Mercedes cars go well, but Rosberg gets in front of Hamilton. They are side by side. Rosberg has the inside line.
I was getting into a really good role. We rushed up pole again and just leading the way. Great start, which was the improvement from Suzuka. It was all going well. And then
my throttle pedal is broken.
Unbelievable, whatever 10-cent piece breaks on the throttle damper and the throttle pedal comes towards me. I've never had that in my whole racing career in anything.
He's just shown no acceleration off the turn whatsoever.
So I was driving around it, trying to cope with it, but then eventually it just stuck open and I couldn't get around the corners anymore. It was getting very dangerous, so I had to come in.
Well, there's Nico Rosberg. There's not really much you can say for him now, is there?
So Lewis, your teammate has retired, so let's refocus, get on with this race.
Oh, we've got an accident for Romain Grosjean. Now this brings the safety car out. You might see the pit lane getting busy now.
Box this lap, box, pits confirmed.
The plan was always to go to one stop, but obviously not that early, not 40 laps before the end. When I realized how many laps I had to do, I thought, well, this is going to be difficult, because I knew my race was going to be the last 10, 15 laps.
This is where the real race is. Sergio Perez is trying to hang on for a 3rd place finish here in Russia.
Checo, you're still P3, but to make it work, we've got to have maximum management on the front.
It's what I'm doing, man. I cannot do anymore.
It was a couple of laps to basically run out of rubber.
Valtteri Bottas closing up. He's chasing down third place Perez. Bottas goes into third place, pulls off a fabulous move, and Raikkonen now going around the outside of Sergio Perez. Oh, it's all gone wrong for Perez.
When they overtook me, I thought that my podium was gone and I was going to finish 5th. But I had no idea that they were so close together.
Perez could not quite respond, and Bottas is in third, but he's still under pressure from the Ferrari.
Last lap, Kimi, last lap, all or nothing.
Oh, no, they hit! They hit! Bottas crashes into the barrier! Raikkonen's got damage! Perez goes back into third place!
What did he do?
If I would have left the door open in that kind of situation, then he plus everyone else would have thought, you know, I will do it again if someone is trying to overtake me from that far. So that's not going to happen.
I thought that he seen me when I went there, but obviously not.
Raikkonen was at fault, wasn't he, David?
Raikkonen, that was like optimism beyond control. He came from so far back on a tight, shallow line and just rear-ended Bottas.
Lewis Hamilton wins the Russian Grand Prix. Now, who's going to be third? It's going to be Perez. There he is. Perez finishes third here in Russia. A third podium ever for this team. What delight for them.
Oh, well done, guys. Wow, that was very hard, man. I had no rubber left at all.
There were a lot of emotions, you know, because it was a podium. Although I was lucky in the end, I really deserved it. It was not like I was 5th the whole race and then they crashed. I was 3rd the whole race and then they crashed. I'm very happy for the team. These boys have been through tremendous difficult times. So when you have those moments, you really try to stop time and really enjoy them.
That podium was super huge for him and super huge for the team.
And it was a super huge weekend, of course, for Mercedes because they clinched the Constructors' title.
It was exactly the same as the previous year, winning the World Championship as constructors in Russia. It gave them a great opportunity to sort of take the pressure valve off. The money in Formula One for the teams comes from the constructors, so that box is ticked. It then allows them a completely free hand to let the drivers race.
So we trot across the pond to the good old US of A, the perfect setting for Lewis, who gets his first shot at his 3rd world title.
Firstly, the race was, for me, was one of the best races that I can remember having.
Lights out, away we go. Rosberg versus Hamilton, and it's a pretty even start, but Hamilton may have the chance to get up the inside. Rosberg's trying to go wheel to wheel, they run wide. Rosberg squeezed down to 4th place. Hamilton certainly worked that to his advantage.
It was one step too far, too much.
You see my steering wheel, I'm turning, but the car's not turning. Whilst I didn't intentionally do anything, I felt afterwards, like, oh, geez, you know.
He decided to drive into me.
You've seen over the last couple of years, I mean, he complains about a lot of things, but you just kind of let it go over your head because that's just the way he is, and it's kind of a different background we come from, I guess.
Personally, I think Lewis was over-aggressive.
To me, a completely fair thing for the inside car to dictate the line. That's the end of the story.
But it wasn't really the race decider because I did manage to fight back.
And Rosberg's got past Ricciardo onto the straight, over the big bumps.
Yeah, Daniel will be a sitting duck here. Here comes Rosberg.
So Mercedes now running 1 and 2.
Rosberg goes wide.
Ricciardo into 2nd place. He makes the move, and Rosberg will be kicking himself there. And look at this, Ricciardo's had another go to get past Hamilton. Oh, and Daniel Ricciardo has found a space, and he's got past the Mercedes. Rosberg having a go at getting past Hamilton. He's got down the inside. Can he hold on, or is Hamilton going to fight back on the exit? Yes, he will. They've got to give each other space, you would think, as teammates. But Rosberg's got past him. Well, we don't see that often. Here comes Rosberg. He's going to reclaim the lead. He does. He gets past Daniel Ricciardo. Remember, if it were to finish this way, Lewis Hamilton would not be world champion. Not with Rosberg winning the race.
Well, that's karma. You know, he's back in the lead, so he should have nothing to complain about. But still, you know, he had to find something to complain about. So.
Past Lewis, past the Red Bulls, take the lead, go up into the distance, get pulled back because of the safety car, because I had a 10-second lead already, so that was destroyed by the safety car.
Hamilton draws alongside and overtakes Daniel Ricciardo. Oh, big shot, and it's Kvyat. Kvyat in the wall,
Safety
and that's
car for
surely
sure,
going to bring
Ben.
the safety car out, yes.
This might be a lifeline for Hamilton.
Then the second safety car again destroyed my second lead of a couple of seconds, whatever.
Okay, Lewis, you will have 10 laps remaining. Just keep it nice and clean.
And away goes Rosberg, bit of wheel spin on the restart as he launches it. These tyres have lost temperature.
I was generally relaxed because it wasn't the last race and the championship was coming down to that one moment. But of course, that driver in me was just like, never give up, keep pushing.
Hamilton, fastest lap, putting the pressure on Rosberg.
And then I messed up myself, which is hugely annoying.
Rosberg's made a mistake.
Oh, he's had a tank slapper on acceleration.
Hamilton's taken the lead. It means that Hamilton is where he needs to be to win the championship now.
When the reality really hits you, you have so much energy, you just want to shout, you know, at the top of your lungs, at the top of a building.
Lewis Hamilton has won his third World Championship. He is the 2015 World Champion.
Yeah, I'm feeling it, pal. I'm feeling it.
How good does that sound, Lewis? 3 times world champion.
That's the greatest moment of my life. Thank you guys so much.
I remember being at my dad's house in Hatfield, I think it was. You know, 1-bedroom apartment, and wake up, got bacon signing when I was like 5 years old, and watching Ayrton win these races, and it's the lifelong dream. And then when you think 25 years later that I'm achieving a similar success, it's an experience or an emotion that you just have to try and enjoy because you can't really understand it.
3 world championships. He's in this exclusive club now, and he deserves to be there.
He does deserve his 3 titles. For some, they'll say there's only Mercedes in the race, so all he's doing is beating Nico Rosberg. But let's not forget that he won his first title at McLaren. He equalled Fernando Alonso in his first ever year in Formula One.
The talent he has is amazing. The way he can drive the car, how quick he is, how strong he is to win. You know how good he is on the mentality to win the race.
I don't think anyone thought he was doing the right thing to leave McLaren and go to Mercedes. And to be fair, at that moment in time, it wasn't the right thing to do. Lewis is a very quick driver, I will give him that. He's probably one of the quickest guys that's ever stood in a Formula 1 car. But he did not know when he signed that contract. I think he was upset with the situation he had at McLaren. It was off the back of a DNF when he was leading in Singapore.
Hamilton's in trouble. His World Championship hopes are disappearing rapidly with that.
And we're all emotional, so he took that decision, I think, emotionally. But it's the right decision, it's paid off, and he's just won 2 back-to-back world titles, so fair play to him.
Do you worry that Lewis Hamilton might break your records?
No, I think in the end records are there to be broken. I don't think it's fair and I don't think it's right to stand up and say, I don't want this guy to win, because currently he's doing the best job.
Capgate. It's our usual games, you know, and he passes me the cap, I pass it back. In my frustration. He was more consistent during the year. So he was very, very consistent year with everything. He didn't have any problems except for one DNF, you know. Qualifying, he did a better job than last year.
You haven't had the rub with the green, I guess.
No, it's not about good fortune in qualifying. There's no fortune in that, especially when it's 12 times. It's just not being quick enough. So just need to find some more pace, which I did. Don't know why though.
Nico Rosberg takes victory in Mexico. Nico Rosberg wins in Brazil. Yeah, guys. Awesome. Nico Rosberg comes out of the last corner in Abu Dhabi. Well, what a different story this season might have been if Nico Rosberg had begun the season in the same style that he's finished it.
sometimes it's very difficult to understand what goes on in a racing driver's brain. I don't think that Lewis consciously switched his season off, but then maybe unconsciously, if you won the championship, what else do you want to prove out there? But then maybe Nico found his strengths back and the edge back. So we had these discussions and we talked with them. There is no eureka moment yet.
I think there's an insecurity in Nico as an individual. There's a confidence in Lewis. The way he dresses, the way he moves, the way he travels around to the rest of the world. It's like, challenge me if you dare.
To be a great champion, you need raw speed, you need arrogance, you need belief. Now, if that breeds not a great character, so be it. Now, I'm not saying that about Lewis, but I think he does believe in all of those things. And is he arrogant? Absolutely. Is every driver in Formula One arrogant? If they're not, they shouldn't be there.
Highlights of the season for you, Eddie, this year?
I don't think I have any difficulty in this because for me, he would be the person I would have wanted to sign right from the beginning. Max Verstappen, my God, what a revelation, what a joy to watch. Clean, under control, knowing when to pass, knowing the right moves. I absolutely love watching him.
That said, it's about the championship and it's about the championship driver. The right man in the right car won this. I think Lewis Hamilton in any car would do exceptional things, and this year was a textbook case in how to win a world championship.
So chaps, a dash of Lewis Hamilton, a splash of Nico Rosberg and a dab of Sebastian Vettel are race winners this year, and the picture for 2015 is complete.
No one ever find it on my own, 'cause this life ain't leading nowhere I can go. I'm standing still with nothing in